I've just spent like the last 3 minutes trying to get comfy on this chair, and I was like trying to like fix it in a way where I was comfy, and I swear to God, it was a pain in the ass. So, as you can hear by my voice today, I sound a wee bit weird, and that is because I am choked full of the cold. So, me and my husband Josh went for COVID tests today, just to rule out that we've got a visit for Rona, so I'll keep these updated. So, yes. So I'll probably be potentially taking wee like short pauses in between because my brain's a wee bit like the day because I'm thinking and I'm talking and I'm being a human and functioning. Plenty of wee sips of water in there the day as well. So let's get into it. Today we are going to be talking about Glamis Castle in Scotland. Woo! Okay, so there's many things happened at Glamis Castle and we're going to get into them. It's never ending. You know, some places were just built and you think, gosh, what is wrong with that place? Why is there so much negativity there? It's one of the places. So, where we're gonna start. So Glamis Castle was built in 1016 and the Glamis Castle has housed royalty ever since it was built. In 1034, when it was just a humble royal hunting lodge, King Malcolm II was assassinated there. And at the time, he was the High King of Scotland. Throughout the centuries, additions have been made to like expand and make it bigger, you know, like as you do, because I mean, if you see it now, it's massive. So, additions were added through the centuries, and nowadays, Glamis Castle is like with an air of haughty defiance and sullen gloom. And sullen gloom and haughty defiance were descriptions of the castle by Scottish poet James Beattie. Sullen gloom is right because there is a many number of hideous things have happened there. And we're gonna discuss them. Apparently, Glamis Castle holds a secret and it's only known by each like Earl. It's okay, it's a hard word for me to say. It's only known by Earl Lord Strathmore and it gets passed on to like every Earl. Like sort of when they come of age, I guess. So what is this secret that only the Earls get to know? Well, your guess is as good as mine. Nobody knows. And surprisingly, through all these years, it hasn't been like, let slip, like, oh, by the way, do you know what I know? Which is really makes me wonder, what is it? Because if it's that bad that nobody's found it out yet, that's just crazy. So, stories of Glamis, you know, people talk, have it that one time a workman was in, so they were having like renovations done, probably something like that, for whatever reason the workmen were in. And one of them accidentally knocked through into like, not through a wall, into a secret room. And some people say that he was then paid to stay quiet for seeing whatever he saw with this secret room. But other people say that he was actually shipped off to Australia to spend the rest of his life. I mean, either way, there was this workman and then he was told be quiet, whether that was go to Australia or he was paid probably very handsomely, then who knows. This blue stuff is just spreading everywhere. I was having a little Viking moment, so it's fine. So, workman, Australia / paid off for finding a secret room. kind of weird. Another tale goes, and this one's brutal by the way, that a serving maid stumbled across the terrible secret, whatever it may be, and whatever she's seen, she was like, what? No, I'm horrified. I'm telling on you, which, side note, a wee bit like ramble here. Why would you see this horrible secret and then be like, I'm gonna tell on you? Like, I don't know why you would threaten to expose said secret to the people who, I mean, they've clearly been working very hard to keep it a secret, so a bit silly. But anyway, she threatened to expose it, and the Earl at the time then ordered his guards to cut out her tongue. So she managed to break free for the guards, and she was like running through the castle, and of course they caught her in the garden in the grounds, and they killed her. And to this day, people say that they can see her running and screaming, like see her ghost running through the hallways, screaming like silently, like do you know what I mean? And they can see blood pouring through her ghost's mouth. Ugh, could you imagine seeing that before your breakfast? But secret rooms at Glams, they're like a bit of like a common thing. It's like a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a theme at Glams, secret rooms. So in 1486, when the Ogilvy clan, they sought shelter from the Lindsay clan during a feud, and so they went to the Earl at the time, and they were like, hello, can we have some shelter? And the Earl was like, oh, of course, come in, I'll protect you. But what the Earl then did was he led them through the castle, and he took them into a secret room, and he locked the door, and he walked away. Which is just sad, really, how you could do that to somebody. But he'd done that because he had made a deal with the Lindsay clan that if the Ogilvy clan came and asked him for shelter, that, yep, he was just going to lock them in a room to die, which is horrible. Like, what the heck? So, like, he done that. A couple of weeks later, somebody else went down to the room and they opened the door, and they found one person who was barely alive, and he'd had to eat his own family to survive that long, which is traumatizing. Like, imagine getting to the point where you had to eat your own family. That's rough, man. That's rough. And with things like this happening, and it kind of makes you like, with all these bad events happening in this one place, obviously it explains, like, as time's gone on, why so much bad stuff happens. I mean, the amount of bad energy that must be in that castle is, oof, damn, get some sage up in there. So, they found that person barely alive, and he'd cannibalised his family, which is brutal. Another secret room in the castle housed a deformed son during the 19th century, and this was to like protect the family for shame. Like, people were so weird back then. I mean, people are still so weird, but everything was so like, oh, don't judge me back in the day, and it really riles me because just because somebody's born a certain way, people just bug my life. Can it be deformed? Can it be gay? Can it be a powerful woman? Like, times were definitely rough as back then. Anyway, I digress. This secret room housed the deformed son in the 19th century, and he spent his whole life in hiding. But he was allowed out onto the roof at night. But villagers would see him on the roof, and they'd look up and they'd be like, what is that up there? Like, that's a person, isn't it? And because he was spotted by villagers, and villagers like to carry stories and have something to talk about the big royals in the castle, well, then came the story or the tale, local legend, whatever you like to call it, of the monster of Glamis, which is just sad. Like, when you think about it, I mean, if they didn't know, then sure, but like, it's still sad. Like, that poor boy. A darker presence that lurks about the castle is known as the Earl Beardy, and he is thought to be one of the early lords of Glamis. It is reported that the Earl of Beardy likes to like terrorise children. So like they'll wake up in the middle of the night by the terrifying sight of this man who is like an armoured knight leaning over them, like leaning over their beds. And this guy, the Earl Beardy, is remembered as like a very nasty, nasty character. And a story is told that he liked to gamble and that he gambled his soul away to the devil. And apparently, sometimes at night you can hear this wonderful Earl swearing obscenities, or shouting obscenities, swearing as obscenities, duh, and rattling dice. So inside Glamis Castle, there is a family chapel, and it's a beautiful room, and it's got like lovely wooden like work on the walls and the ceiling and loads of paintings, and it's just so beautiful. Like the wood paneling is just, oh, it's so nice. So it's good, it's tranquil, and you can really relax there, so long as you don't mind the presence of the grey lady who walks through the chapel, down the aisle, and disappears through a wall. Which, imagine that, imagine you're like just like staying there and you're like, I'm just gonna go chill in this chapel for a wee bit, it's so beautiful, and then you just see this big grey ghost walking down, you'd be like, what the heck? You'd be like, time to go home. So this grey lady, as she's known, well, she is she's believed to be Lady Janet Douglas, and she was charged with plotting the murder of her husband, James V of Scotland, despite there actually being no evidence to prove that she tried to do this. And James V burned her at the stake because he accused her of witchcraft, and that was in 1537, which I'm gonna do a video on like witch trials and stuff in Scotland, because there is a whole crazy history about it. But imagine like burning your wife when there wasn't even like any proof. Like, whoa, at least in this day and age we have like a sort of fairer trial to things. Like, you kind of just go about being like, you're a witch, burn her at the stake. Do you know what I mean? So many more ghosts and apparitions are recorded at Glamis Castle. Like a variety of ghostly faces that appear at windows. And there's an old lady who walks through the corridors of the castle or whatever, to the middle of the courtyard, and like she's holding a bundle. So I don't know if that's like, it's just described as holding a bundle. So I think it maybe mean like a baby, like holding a baby, like walking through. Not really sure. But she goes into the courtyard and then disappears. There is the ghost of a black servant boy who was brutally hunted by an earl and his guests in some like vile game, like like what? Some vile game of let's hunt the kid until we get him. It's absolutely, people really were the worst. I mean, people are still bad, but like back then it was even worse. Like, who hunts a child to the death? Like, so that little boy is seen wandering the corridors. Screams are often heard coming from empty rooms, and like loud hammering noises. So one time there was a guest who, she like got up in the morning and went down for a breakfast, and she said to the hosts about it, she was like, I was woken up at like through the night with I heard hammering noises, and they were just like, please don't speak yet again. Like, okay, but it woke me up. um, just before the 13th Earl Strathmore died in 1904, he confided in a close friend that the secret of Glamis was so terrifying and horrifying that if his friend knew what it was, he would fall to his knees and give thanks that it wasn't his secret. And that just bothers me because I want to know what it is. Like, how, like, what could it be? Like, I don't know. I don't know. But when I was doing my research for this, I was actually, it was when I was looking at to see if there was any other sort of things that I'd missed, and I found that in February 2020, the Earl Strathmore Simon Bowes Lion forced his way into a room of a sleeping woman at Glamis Castle, where he repeatedly assaulted the 26-year-old woman for 20 minutes. And during this time, he tried to like rip off her nightdress. Bowes Lion, who is 34, and he is the Queen's cousin, twice removed.
I told you once, fuck off!
He has been placed on the sex offenders register, which good, we love that. The being put on the sex offenders register, even though you're a royal. I think that we all know somebody else who should be joining him on that register, right? But that's none of my business. But he's placed on the sex offenders register, but he was granted bail at Dundee Sheriff Court, and his sentence was deferred. And Sheriff Alistair Carmichael also ordered that Glamis Castle was to be assessed for its sustainability to house Bowes Lion while under a tagging order. Really? You're trying to tell me a castle isn't sufficient enough to be put in house arrest? Really? Bowes Lion said, I'm greatly ashamed, he's greatly ashamed by his actions. And he was adding, this is what he said, clearly, I had drunk to excess the night of the incident, and I should have known better. I recognise in any event that alcohol is no excuse for my behaviour. I did not think I was capable of behaving the way I did, but I have to face up to it and take responsibility. My apologies go above all to the women concerned, but I would also like to apologise to family and friends and colleagues for the distress that I have caused them. And that just sounds like a very nicely written lawyer statement, doesn't it? To say, oh, I obviously had too much to drink, but alcohol is not the blame. Like, just stop, alright? You're making yourself sound even worse. Just say, I'm sorry, I'm a piece of shit, and I thought that I could get away with it. Well, but yep, that's it. That's all that I have for you today on Glamis Castle. It was really interesting to research it actually and know how much weird stuff had happened. Like, it was interesting. I like it. Let me know if you've enjoyed it. Sorry for like my stuffy throat. And I hope I wasn't too rambly. I hope I like kept it good and to the point. I'm gonna link below my Facebook group and my Instagram page because I set one up. I will be setting a Twitter up, which I will also put in the description. It might be next video, it depends when I make it. But yes, so please like and subscribe and share it if you think it's worth sharing. Let me know in the comments what you thought. What did you think it was the worst, like the creepiest part of the haunting? What else? Have you ever been to Glamis Castle? Anybody who's in Scotland? And that's me. So remember, you can always recommend cases to me as well, guys, because I want to make videos for you that you want to see. So let me know and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye.